What's up, everyone, and welcome to a patched together episode of Invisible Walls, episode 125. All the guys are in Japan except for the pitiful four of us who are stuck here in Los Angeles. I mean, I could be eating raw chicken or a raw horse neck. I mean, I'm missing out here.
No, instead we got the beach and the sun and Santa Monica.
You just don't feel comfortable sending us out of the country.
Oh, give me a break. I think you guys have already been all out of the country. What is the weirdest thing you guys have ever eaten? Because a couple years ago, the last time I went to Tokyo Game Show, I went out to eat dinner with Team Ninja. And when you're in Japan and someone takes you out to dinner, you don't really ask what they're putting on your plate. I do sometimes because I have some allergies that could really ruin my day. But otherwise, if they put stuff on your plate, you eat it. And that's how I ended up eating raw horse neck sashimi and raw chicken. So what are the weirdest things you guys have ever eaten? Anything near that?
No.
Raw chicken, man. I don't know if the birds out there are similar to the ones here, but you're asking for like salmonella and that shit.
Well, it was hilarious. They put it on my plate and I just ate it. I thought it was sushi or something. And then as soon as I swallowed it, everyone at the table looked at me and just started literally just busting out in laughter. And I'm like, oh my God.
Was it a trick they were trying to play on you, or what?
It was a kind of a trick.
Oh, let's see what he'll eat and not.
So I looked around and I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, what did I just eat? And they're like, what did you think you just ate? And I was like, I don't know, it tasted kind of like sushi. And they started laughing again, and they were like, it was chicken. And I was like, raw chicken? And my face just fell.
Oh.
And then they laughed at me again, and they're like, and then here's the kicker. They go, oh, don't worry, Shane-san, it's okay. It's like, it was just killed 2 hours ago.
Oh, I feel much better.
I was like, that's supposed to make me feel better? Anyway, that's kind of the stuff that the guys in Japan right now are dealing with. Also, already some big pre-TGS events have hit. Some big news coming from there. We're going to talk about Halo Reach today. We're going to talk about TGS stuff. We're going to run through the MPD report. And here to do that today, as you've already heard, is Miguel Lopez.
Hey, what's up? Hello. Hi.
Brooks Huber's on the show today.
Yes, I am.
And Mike Damiani's here to do it with us.
What up, everyone?
On to Halo Reach.
Sir, consider it done.
Obviously, one of the biggest releases of Q4. We obviously, our review's up already. We did hour 1 this week, but this is our first chance to talk about it. The embargo kind of fell at a weird time. We weren't able to speak about it last week. So everyone kind of knows my opinion already. I wrote the review for the game. Brooks, you've been playing a good bit. You've been working on some sort of ancillary content around the game. What are your initial impressions?
I'm really happy with it. I coming straight off of Halo 3 and ODST and then playing through Reach, I think the pace of the game is a lot quicker for me. The enemies are much more intelligent this time around. I felt myself like kind of changing my normal strategy, so to speak, and taking cover more often than I would, which is kind of ironic for like a Halo game because it feels like such a run and gun. I like the whole team-based combat, but I'm still trying to get a feel for the AI because I've been playing, not co-op and not online just yet. And the AI doesn't seem to be doing too much. Is that the case with you?
You mean your team AI?
My teammates, yeah. I don't see what the hell do they do?
Have you let them try to drive yet?
No, I refuse to let that happen. We all know what that's like.
The teammate AI, they're inept. I mean, they're not going to wipe out all the enemies for you. You can kind of use them, and how I use them in the game is more of a diversion. Mm-hmm. So I'd let them, and I said this in the review, I'd let them take up the front, and then I'd kind of flank from the side. So they occupy the enemies more than really kill them. But at least then you could come in from the side or from behind and get some pretty easy kills, especially in the more wide open areas in the game, which are some of the more difficult battles because it really allows the enemy AI to show its stuff.
I mean, did they ever get in the way or anything? Like, did they ever approach like Sheva levels in RE5, or was it pretty smooth going for the most part? Just they weren't as competent maybe as you would have liked.
There's a couple cases in the corridors where they kind of get in the way sometimes, but that's to be expected. I mean, even if you play with a human, at times they're going to get in your way and you're going to end up shooting them in the back or the back of the head. That's just kind of par for the course. But overall, they didn't do a whole lot of work on the teammate AI.
No, that's not the selling point at all. I think visually, the game looks really impressive. I've been comparing it to Halo 3 and looking at some of the environments, and they really amped up on what they added, and there's still a lot to look at now. And
let's talk about the armor abilities. Have you messed around with those much?
Like in the multiplayer armor abilities, or just
the armor
general?
Abilities are also in the
they
campaign,
transcend to the single player campaign. One of my favorite ones is the one with the hologram armor ability. I love that. That works especially well in multiplayer. I don't see where that really come through in campaign so much. But the hologram is where you make a carbon copy of yourself, and it just ends up sending that copy running forward, and I love doing that around corridors or, when you're unexpecting maybe, and you just send them forward and
when I play multiplayer and I'm playing in a map with a lot of corridors and not a lot of open spaces, I never run anywhere without sending the clone out first.
Yeah.
So I'll be in a hallway and I'll look out and I'll see where like the area kind of breaks open. I just send the clone out, and then he runs out, and even if people pick up on it pretty quickly, they'll still show you where they are. So they'll come running out and try to shoot him. By the time they figure out, oh crap, it's a clone, it's too late. I'm already behind him, like shooting them in the back and then meleeing them to finish them off. It's brilliant.
It's very effective too, and that's one of the ones I found out throughout the armor capabilities that replenishes itself really fast.
Oh yeah.
Is there anything that gives it away? That tells you it's a clone? Like there's not a...
The running animate, because it runs basically in a straight line. That's pretty much the only thing to give it away, but I mean most people run pretty much in a straight line. The other thing too is like no matter what weapon you have, it clones the weapon. So if you have like an energy sword, if you send out a clone with an energy sword in his hand, hook, line, and sinker, dude.
Right. It's just baiting the fish.
I think over time people will realize, it actually completely mimics what you're carrying, your loadout. But right now, if you go online and you send out your clone with it's just like it's piranha on a piece of meat, man.
Yeah.
They come out of the woodwork and just start attacking. It's hilarious, man. They're all standing there. You get like 3 or 4 from around. They're all like trying to melee him.
Right.
Then you just toss a grenade in there and they just go boom. Like
it sounds like in Team Fortress 2, how everybody is kind of trained to suspect everyone else is a spy.
Right.
So you'll be running around your base, and then random people will be like shooting you in the face with a shotgun. Boom, boom, just to check.
How did you like the campaign? Like you said that it was relentless. That was one knock I kind of had on it was. It kind of becomes monotone. It ratchets it up to like 9 or 10 at the beginning, and then it just stays there. It never really drops. You don't really get the peaks and the valleys that you get in other shooters. There's not really like any missions where you got to sneak in anywhere or anything like that. It's always just go, go, go.
Drop ship.
Kill. Here comes a drop ship.
Yeah.
Toss a grenade. It's insane. But it also feels like it just kind of hits this one note throughout the whole thing.
Do you feel that it's a substantial enough leap forward from Halo 3, or does this feel more like kind of an interim between the next big Halo?
Well, this is the last big Halo. I mean, this is it. They're turning the series over to Microsoft at this point. Bungie's not making any more Halo games, which makes me really nervous.
Right.
So this is kind of it. And I would say one thing is that they've designed this game in such a way that they're ensuring that the heritage lives on for a long time. Like people will be playing this game for a long freaking time. They've improved sort of the pre-game setup, so now you can all vote on which maps and what modes you want to play. But I've also found that you're relying upon the other people to pick the map, and so if somebody comes in with a party of 3 or 4 people, they can kind of dictate what they want to play.
Yeah, they can monopolize it.
Because they're all going to vote the same way. And because there's so many choices, the votes can get spread out pretty wide. So if those 3 or 4 people band together, pick the same mode, and 1 or 2 other random people pick it, they can pretty much dictate what games.
Now, did they employ like what Call of Duty does, like a free-for-all option in multiplayer, where you can't even team up and everybody's just kind of like in it for themselves? Because that would make it look much.
Slayer.
Yeah, okay, just regular Slayer, not Team Slayer or anything. All right, that makes sense. Because then you wouldn't get that sort of unfair voting.
It's a great game. The reason it scored so much lower than Halo 3 is because that even though it's packed full of stuff and it's still leaps and bounds beyond pretty much every other shooter out there, a lot of it is still what you already had in Halo 3. Everything's enhanced or better, but it is a lot of the same features. The Forge was there before, the video stuff was there before, and they've replaced the deployables with the armor abilities, which I think was also a good step forward. So everything's been kind of ratcheted up, and everything's better and more balanced, but at the same time, you still are kind of getting basically the same suite you got with Halo 3, and that's why it ended up scoring lower. And the story, I don't feel, was as good as Halo 3, and I know people give me crap about that because they think Halo's story sucks, but I liked the story in Halo 3, and I like this one too. There's definitely a couple moments that pull on the heartstrings a little bit, especially for people who've been playing the series from the beginning. They have that sort of emotional investment in it. I think there was a couple moments that I don't know if it'll make them cry, but it'll
cry.
I think it'll definitely make them feel a little emotional at points. They find a good way to kind of tie a lot of the stuff in Reach into what ultimately came before, but comes later in the storyline. So some of the later missions, particularly the last 3 or 4 missions of the game, the Halo fans are really going to dig. So by now, I'm sure probably all of you guys have played the campaign 5 times who's listening to this, so you guys can either agree or disagree with us. But I would say Halo Reach, the best Halo game in the franchise, but not the most innovative. Okay, next we're going to talk about the MPD report for August. Usually around August is when the sales overall in the industry start to ramp up in anticipation of Q4. Obviously, there's been a lot of great games released already this year that haven't really done a whole lot to sort of bring the overall market up. It's actually been a pretty disappointing year in the video game industry sales-wise. So we're looking at August as sort of that harbinger, the thing that's going to be the signal that, all right, everything's starting to rise again. And what do we see here?
I see minus signs.
Yeah, I see lots of minus signs.
That makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's, I mean, we're about $1 billion behind where we were in 2009.
Oh, no.
As far as where revenue is concerned, so...
And billion is a big number. Remember that, folks.
Yeah, a billion is 1,000 millions. So that tells you right there, that is a lot of money to lose in an industry in 1 year, especially one that has been sort of touted as recession-proof. I think now we're seeing that it is, in fact, not recession-proof.
Right. Well,
Maybe durable against the recession, but not completely, separate from it and unaffected by it. So, again, it dropped 10% change year over year for August, and that's following on the tails of months and months of the same thing happening. Hardware sales-wise, 360. Came out on top.
The king again.
Why do you guys think that is?
Slim.
Anticipation of Slim's getting restocked.
The Slim did. I think the Slim gave it a nice boost, and it's holding it. And I think anticipation for Halo Reach, people will want to get the new system for that.
But I thought they might wait for like the limited edition Halo.
That's more of a niche, like core fan base like that. I think, but Halo is a really big mass appeal. I think a lot of people are gearing up for that one.
Weren't there also a lot of people who took advantage of the deals that retailers offered, where you trade in your old 360 to get a Slim?
I would assume so. I mean, to me, that's a great deal. You can trade in your old machine. What, they give you like $100 or something like that towards your new machine? So you basically spent like $200 on the new Slim.
I know people that are double dipping. John Smith, one of our editors, he actually went out and already had a perfectly working 360, but what kept him from keeping that system is the 20 gig hard drive, and he went out and bought a Slim just for the hard drive space.
Oh, there's no doubt everybody should upgrade to the Slim. I mean,
250 gigs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and one thing I will say is that, with some games it is dead silent, but for some reason EA Sports games, man, that thing whirs up just as loud as the old machine. Like, I thought that there was some like sound effect like stuck in my game when I was playing Madden. I was like, what is that like low rumble? It was the machine sitting next to my TV I could hear. Then when I played NHL 11, same deal. Yet playing Halo Reach sits there dead quiet. So I don't know if there's some kind of a issue with how they lay stuff down to disk. I don't know what it is, but EA's games are still loud on that machine. Otherwise, though, it's definitely silent.
It's EA just taking notes on you as an individual, as a consumer, and it's like figuring it out.
Games, man. It's like
I guess
bros, sports fans,
Well, what's interesting too is that most sports games, it loads everything in like right at the beginning of the game. Like, there's really no reason for that machine to like kick up and over. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But speaking of EA games, it looked like Madden dominating once again.
Yeah, it looks like it did about 1.9 million in sales across 2.5 weeks, pretty much. That's pretty good. In fact, I think that's probably a rise over the first 2 weeks of last year.
I believe it is. I think it is for both systems an increase, and I think last year people were, if you combine the PS2 and PS3 sales of Madden 10, because it came out on both those systems, this year outdid both those sales. So
yeah, I think I remember correctly. After at the end of August last year, it was sitting at like 1.3 million. So this is almost a jump of 500,000. So do you guys think that the whole finish a game in half the time thing worked? Do you think that's why so many more people jumped on?
I think people just skip a year of Madden, and just happened to be a year where they wanted to pick it up because of the new features. It appealed to them in ways it didn't last year.
You said it was a pretty substantial improvement, the biggest in years, right?
Well, yeah, and the biggest thing too is like the running game, like the locomotion that they brought over from NCAA football. It makes a huge difference in the gameplay. But I think a lot of times the people that buy Madden or GTA or Halo, those people that buy a few games a year, I don't think they really even know about that shit before they go buy a game. Yeah. They're not coming to game trailers every day to get the information on Madden. I think, their tagline was simpler, shorter, whatever, something like that. And I think that marketing probably resonated with these people who are like, you know what? I'm tired of spending an hour playing Madden. And right underneath that is Super Mario Galaxy 2.
But look at that drop-off, though.
It's brutal. It only sold 124,000 units for a machine that has a huge install base.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it's not terrible, for that. I don't think it's terrible. I was talking about the drop off between Madden and then the rest of the games on that list. That's
really
like
think about
700,000 drop.
Yeah, but think back to
Galaxy came out a few months ago though, so it's
right.
been that, and it hasn't outsold the original Galaxy, I believe, so it's still behind. It might go back to that argument that maybe 2D games have bigger mass appeal to that audience over the 3D game. I mean, maybe Nintendo wasn't so crazy putting out, trying to put out DVDs to the audience to like explain how to play 3D games. We laugh at it, but maybe they do know what they're talking about with
well, I think at this point we have to admit Nintendo knows what the hell it's talking about. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
I wouldn't discount the fact that something like New Super Mario Brothers looks a lot more like Super Mario to people probably our age and a little older, right? When they think, I want a Mario game, and then they go on the shelves and they look at the back of the box and they see that, they're like, okay, this is what I'm looking for.
Well, it's got the instant co-op. It's got everything people like, and I know it was a big family game, and a lot of people I know bought it for those reasons.
Yeah, I was going to hit on the family aspect of it, because Galaxy 2, it does have the co-star mode, the co-op mode. I think New Super Mario Bros. Wii was branded, marketed more as like the 4-player experience. All the imagery was family, kids playing, and this broadens its appeal to like the average person who's looking to play games, not necessarily the gamer.
Isn't that kind of a shitty way to play that game though? Like it turns into something else when you're playing co-op.
To someone trying to play it seriously, yeah, but if you just have like a family who's not that and wants to play like for fun, I'm sure they have a good time. They don't care if they're winning or losing. They care about just straight up having fun. I think it's their perspective, For me, I don't like playing it with multiplayer because the mechanics don't work so well that way for me. But to other people, they enjoy it. So who's to say one's right or wrong,
The one thing I've noticed that Nintendo is doing entirely different from Sony when Sony dominated last generation is that they're not continuing to market their games long after they've been released. I don't know if you guys remember or not, but on the PlayStation 2, the Jak and Daxter games, you'd see commercials for those games 8, 9, 10 months after the game was released. And it's their thinking is our install base is so huge that how do you reach that many people in a short period of time in that short marketing and advertising window? You can't. Mm-hmm. But you don't see advertisements for Super Mario Galaxy now. You don't see Nintendo really sort of pushing that stuff later on when I think they probably should be. I think it would help their software sales even more. I think third parties could probably have an advantage doing that as well. They advertise their Wii games for like 2 days before they drop it. So
yeah, I mean, it could for some of their games that might need it. But I mean, looking back at the list here, we still see New Super Mario Brothers for DS back on the list ahead of New Super Mario Bros. Wii. And how long has that gone without a commercial? And how long has that been in like the top 20?
Well, look, there's New Super Mario Brothers Wii at number 6.
Yeah,
think about that.
And it hasn't had a commercial for a while too. So some games sustain themselves. Those games, the other ones that like Galaxy, that probably needed more marketing push after the post-release. Maybe Nintendo doesn't have that part figured out, or maybe they're like it's sold enough to like make a profit. Who knows what they're thinking business-wise?
Now here's the big shocker and the big disappointment for 2K is Mafia 2.
Yeah.
And it sold under 200,000 copies across all those platforms in the first month.
That has to be a big disappointment for them, especially, I mean, I don't know anywhere else, but around here, you couldn't go like a block without seeing a Mafia 2 poster for that game.
Every bus stop had Mafia 2 plastered all over it. Billboards everywhere. I mean, they definitely went all in on this game. And I mean, compared to how the first game sold, that is a huge, huge disappointment. And it had some competition, but not really on the HD consoles. I mean, it had competition on the Wii, but they chose a good time to release the game, I think. So, and it did get lukewarm reviews. Maybe that did turn some people off, but still, under 200,000 across all platforms, disappointment definitely. And then NCAA football snuck in there, and my God, Wii Fit Plus. There it is again.
Refuses to go away.
But I'm sure we're going to see a huge, huge boost in the MPD for next month. Obviously, with Halo Reach coming out, I mean, they're probably going to sell 2 or 3 million copies in a few days of that. So
you got Metroid Other M, and then
which I'll be interested to see how that
gets a full month, though.
Yeah.
Because it came out right after this MPD cut. So
it'll be interesting to see. What are your predictions for Metroid, guys? Miguel?
I don't know. I mean, I could draw out a number.
Just guess, dude.
400,000.
Oh, you stole it from me.
400,000.
You're afraid to be wrong.
You want me to guess the weather next week?
I can guess the weather in LA. 72 degrees and sunny. It's like that every freaking day. Brooks?
I think it's a really good franchise. I think it resonates well with a lot of fans. So I'm going to say like 550.
550.
Yeah.
Man, you guys are going pretty high there.
What do you think, Damiani?
I don't think it'll do any more than 200,000. If it does 200,000, I think that's really good for that game. I honestly think it'll do between 100, like around 150,000 is realistic. 120,000 maybe. But if it does over 200,000, I'll be surprised. I honestly will.
I'm with you there, Mike. I think it will do 200,000. I think it'll do 225, 250, and then I think we won't see it on the MPD report again after that. Well, I'm going to hold you guys to these, and we'll get back to that whenever they release the numbers next month.
Let the bloodbath begin!
So, as we mentioned, we're the poor suckers left here in the U.S. while all our comrades are in Japan covering Tokyo Game Show. Now, we're recording this, as we always do, on Wednesday. The show technically will start U.S. time this evening, as Japan is ahead by, I think it's 14 hours, 13 hours, something like that, about half a day ahead. So they are going to be going to bed very soon, and they'll be getting up and covering the show. We just kind of got access to all the pre-show events. So Capcom had a press conference, and Electronic Arts had a press conference. And shockingly, really big news coming out of both of them. So EA, and you guys, if you've watched or listened to this show for the last God knows how many episodes, you know we've been talking about this game forever. It's the Shinji Mikami Suda hybrid EA game. They finally have announced the name of the game, called Shadows of the Damned.
They were having a hard time pronouncing that last night at the conference.
I
The
could
guys
see
they were like damda. They were like exaggerating the last stress, and then they all said it together. I was like, how hard is this? Whatever. But it was funny to hear them trying to say it.
Is the last word capitalized?
Oh yeah, they're like, please don't abbreviate it like SOTD.
Really?
They're like, please abbreviate it DMD. So
They want it to be like DMC, I guess.
like, I don't know, but they didn't want it to be abbreviated that way. Of course, who's gonna listen to them?
Right, that's like when Nintendo tried to tell us to call it the GameCube Nintendo, like GCN. I'm like, no, dude, that's not what's going to happen here. Like, we're going to call it whatever the hell we want. Or when Sony tried to tell us to type PlayStation in all caps every time we wrote about it, we're like, no, dude, are you insane? We're like, we'll give you the intercapped S, but we're not going to capitalize the whole freaking word. So now we've seen the trailer. We've waited forever to see this game. First of all, are you guys encouraged, disappointed, lukewarm compared to what your expectations were?
The snippets that looked like gameplay were encouraging, but the kind of the style, the kind of the punk rock vibe seems a little overdone in my opinion. With those styles, whatever the heck it is,
it's like power metal.
They called it punk rock in there. So I don't know. Like the visual style looked to me like it was like another almost like Bayonetta type game. I mean, the action wasn't like that, but just like the enemy designs, the characters, like outfit, that main character, that wasn't doing it for me too much. I expect it to be like darker. I don't want to get into the whole like argument about if it's too colorful or whatever. Like that wasn't doing it for me. But the third person shooting, that guy Mikami, he knows his stuff, and I trust that. And it looked pretty good from the gameplay part. So
Now, are you guys surprised it's not more stylized? I mean, this is Suda's game, right? So I mean, to me, it looks a little generic. I mean, obviously it's another one of those, we're fighting the demons, we're sending them back to hell. But other than that, it's like the visual style, that some of the creature designs are kind of just weird.
It doesn't. You don't think it has Suda's fingerprint on it?
I didn't feel like it. Did you?
I thought the main character sounds like Javier Bardem from No Country for Old Men. I get that vibe off it. I mean, to be honest, at this point, when it comes to first release trailers, I tend to just put my expectations on hold.
But you can see the art style at this point.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it didn't make too big of an impression, to be honest. I don't know. It looked kind of like you said, the sort of generic infernal hordes coming to attack you, badass dude saving his girlfriend kind of shit.
Here's my other concern, too, is that you can already see the way that EA is trying to market the game. So it looks like they have like the Dante's Inferno team like working on this game, which I think is a huge mistake. Like, I don't think they need to market this game with like heavy metal, speed metal. Like, they need to look at Ubisoft is really good at this. Ubisoft chooses great music for its trailers. At first, if they told you, hey, I'm going to use this track for this trailer for Assassin's Creed, you're like, dude, you're insane. That makes no sense. When they put it all together with the gameplay and they cut it intelligently, it does make sense, and it works. And those are some of the best trailers year in and year out. This one, they're like, blah, 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 blah. It's like, I get it, it's in hell, but you can use like more atmospheric stuff instead of sort of just pouring on. It's the easy way out, right?
They're kind of hitting you over the head with
it's a game about hell, so we'll put in speed metal or death metal. Like, I don't know.
And they had the composer from Silent Hill is working on it, and they
Yamaoka.
They could have tapped into that, and they decided to go with that track.
Who is great at producing atmospheric music. It's like, where did he make that track? I hope to God not.
I don't did not sound anything like his style.
He's been getting into like Celtic Frost these past few years. And he's just going with that.
And I have to agree with you too, Miguel. Like, I don't like to pass judgment on this stuff until I play it, especially Mikami's games, because his games on the outside could look a little average or normal, and then you finally start playing them, and he always finds some little nuance that he works into the gameplay that sort of, it may not seem like a big deal at first, but once you really get into it, it really makes a huge difference. So, I'm not writing the game off by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying for its first sort of serve, so to speak, I didn't feel like it was fast or hard enough. Other than the music.
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't surprise me, I guess, the way I was thinking it would. It just kind of hit you over the head with it.
Yeah. Now, the other big announcement was Devil May Cry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Dante.
That's kind of baffling to me.
Ninja Theory.
Is Dante old enough to? I guess there aren't any rules for this, but is Dante old enough to be reimagined at this point?
You mean the franchise, Devil May Cry? Is he an old enough character to be reimagined?
Right.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
There are no rules for that, I guess. Right.
I don't have a problem with that. Like, it's not as gothic as it was in the past. He doesn't have the white flowing hair, and like it's not even taking place in this weird like gothic environment.
And it seems to take it, which might be tragic, but it seems to take itself a little more seriously now. That's the impression I got.
I think that's good, man. Like by the time I played the last Devil May Cry, I was like, come on, man. Like, it was just ridiculous at certain points, and it also goes to the point where you're like, okay, are they doing this on purpose? Like, are they trying to make this game hokey?
Right.
I mean, obviously they write some jokes into the script, which is fine. You can do that in any game without it being hokey. But that game just got freaking hokey.
Right, and then you see, once you play Bayonetta, you see kind of where that came from, right?
Right.
That's Kamiya's sensibility there,
or lack thereof.
Without that, we get this, which I don't know. It seems a little earnest and kind of it seems like it can be a little corny. But what do you guys think?
It looks like Infamous, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, some of those scenes where you jump down. Yeah, there were some scenes there that were evoking that. I'm just concerned. I mean, I know everyone's in love with Ninja Theory, and now they're behind this one, and I'm just not sold on that yet for a Devil May Cry game. I don't know if their style of game will translate over well into the Devil May Cry. They said they're trying to. It's a rebirth, so they're maybe trying to reestablish how Devil May Cry plays, but. I don't. If that's the truth, and I don't like that, then I hope they make a Bayonetta 2 someday, because I'd rather be playing that than something that's scaled back and to what this might be.
Has Ninja Theory truly proven itself yet as a studio?
In my opinion, I don't think so. No. I did not. Heavenly Sword, I was like, meh. I don't know what we can say really about Enslaved.
I think that game looks pretty cool.
Enslaved, you mean?
Yeah, I'm gonna play it when it comes out.
Yeah, I'll play it too.
The concept looks unique. I
don't want a buddy game for DMC though.
Yeah. But what about
his look?
Yeah, that's what I was about to bring up. What do you guys think?
He's skinny, scrawny. He's got short black hair.
And what was the whole thing with his I don't know, his demeanor and stuff was they were trying to be like Dante if he was young, but at the same time there's some things off about him.
I think the fans are going to freak out. They're like, this isn't Dante.
That's the risk you do when you either go back to a prequel or you reimagine a character, one or the other. You risk, showing a phase of a character that, fans won't like because they're so ingrained with this, this visual style, or sorry, this aspect of the character that they love, and then they go and they radically change it. That usually doesn't have good results.
But are they pulling a Kojima here? I mean, is this going to be a case where you start out the game and you're the scrawny, dark-haired Dante, and then something happens X amount of time into the game where he's, his hair gets bleached white because he gets, who knows?
Electrocuted or
something. And then, like an hour or 2 hours into the game, suddenly you're playing as
starts
the real
wisecracking. And
I mean, if you think about it, it's a pretty smart marketing tool to use. You generate this interest. People are like, oh my God, they changed Dante. Well, I need to go and look and see if I like Dante. Oh, I hate Dante too. And it just creates this whole social networking madness.
Yeah.
that may just be you only may beat that Dante for the first hour of the game. You don't know, right?
Possibly. I'm just gonna interject the obligatory that it's made in Japan and they're scaling it down to younger audience. They want to appeal to like broad younger audiences, so they make Dante younger. Because
you think
the whole
audiences?
no, not sorry, let me rephrase that. They're making the main character younger to have a broader appeal because it seems to be it's a stereotype, but it seems a lot of Japanese games skew their main characters to the teenage years to the young 20s because that's what appeals over in Japan to like right now. That's what's hot over there. So Dante's younger. Maybe like you saw near.
Is he younger though? I didn't really get that vibe.
He looked younger.
I don't
I
know.
thought.
I don't know
You're
if
just
your shit holds
guessing.
water, man.
I don't know.
Didn't they explicitly say that they were trying to try to take a more Western approach to Devil May Cry?
I don't know. I'm just seeing what I saw, and it looked like the skinny little Japanese character I see in a lot of video games from over there, and
he didn't look younger to me. He obviously looked a lot different. He's scrawny and he's got dark hair, but he still looked like he was like mid to late 20s to me.
He just been shopping somewhere else.
And how do you guys feel about the setting? I mean, obviously we haven't seen everything about the game, but what they've shown so far, it's all set in present day with streets and cars, and it's not this fantasy land where you have all the insanity that usually goes along with that game. How do you guys feel about that? Do you care?
Not really. I mean, what I associate with Devil May Cry is kind of like the mechanical foundation, and as long as they sort of
which it looks like they've replicated. There's lots of juggling going on in that trailer.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I'm not expecting it to be totally similar. I'm not expecting a game like Bayonetta, but as long as they can meaningfully sort of incorporate that into something that's their own, I'm fine. I don't care.
My name is Dante.
All right, so next we're going to do a segment called Love or Hate. Basically, I'm going to ask you guys for one thing you love about a game and one thing you hate about a game. And the target this week is Halo Reach. Miguel, what are your loves and your hates for Halo Reach?
Well, admittedly, as I said before, I haven't played too much of it yet. But I would say as somebody who has played every Halo game, who I have been reasonably into the series in the past, I guess it's kind of they're both tied into one thing, love and hate, is that it doesn't seem to have changed much. And while part of me is kind of into the fact that I could go into this new game and still feel reasonably at home and still kind of know how the dynamics and the mechanics work, I'm a little disappointed to not see any substantial change. What I would have liked to have seen is some kind of advancement system.
First love with Halo Reach is the advertising they used for the game, that live action. What was it called? The trailer that was just so remarkably done. I loved it.
Creating a Spartan or something like that.
Oh, it was the one.
Yeah.
The bomb one. Where
they always have good live
up.
action. Yeah,
that was amazing. That set the mood for me, and that made me really want to play the game for whatever reason. What I hate about Halo Reach right now is the stupid battle rifle. I fucking hate that weapon.
Yeah,
I just can't get it down.
If you play with somebody who is good with that thing, they just dominate.
I hate the short bursts. I hate how I can't keep the reticle on the guy long enough to like deplete him to the point where I could kill him. It's like swirly bird all over the place, and I'm trying my best.
Brooks, here's a hint for you for Halo. Don't shoot at anything but the head.
That's what I'm trying for. But
The whole game,
I'm like all over the place.
No, the whole
sometimes.
game is about headshots. If you can't get headshots, you get your ass kicked. If you can get headshots, you win. In fact, I've seen some people play better with the pistol because they know they have to aim for the head with the pistol, and they'll actually get more kills than they would if they had the battle rifle.
How does the pistol here compare to the pistol in Halo 1?
It's about the same.
But Halo
which is
3,
awesome.
Halo 3 got rid of the pistol's ability to zoom in and get those like almost precision shots. So I'm glad they brought that back.
Yeah.
So love it for that too.
I
Thumbs
remember
up.
for a while, like the battle rifle was kind of like the stand-in for the pistol. It kind of served that same purpose.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same way here. A lot of the modes where they predetermine your loadout, it's like they give you the pistol and the battle rifle, and they're like basically choose which one you want to use.
I like the assault rifle. I mean, I might be old school like that, but I love that gun.
Spray and pray.
Just spray and pray right on the head. That's what I do. That's how I get all my kills.
All right, Damiani, love and hate.
So I'm in the same boat as Miguel. I'm actually waiting to play through the game on co-op online this weekend with a friend. But What I do love about it so far is another part of the marketing, the commercial they just put out with a bunch of celebrities with Snoop Dogg and LL Cool J.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, that was pretty hilarious.
So it's Snoop Dogg, LL Cool J playing against each other, and they keep like sending crap to each other's house, like order a pizza, send like the USC marching band over there to try and distract them, and then you find out that the dude from Chuck, the TV show, is also playing with them, and he's in his like mom's basement. And then they get triple killed at the end.
Thanks for perpetuating the stereotype, by the way. You love that commercial?
This part was like, yeah, whatever. This is kind of done. Then someone gets a triple kill, and they all throw down their controllers. And you're like, oh, what's the payoff here? Who killed them? And it's Wayne Newton.
Oh.
And he stands up, and he goes like, that's how I play, bitches. And he drops the controller and starts singing. Now, on the flip side, the hate, I've heard that, and Microsoft confirmed this through their support, that you cannot play online co-op if you have the 4 gigabyte slim Xbox 360, the new one, because to play online co-op, you need a certified Microsoft hard drive. And on the 4 gigabyte one, it's only a memory unit. So you have to go out and buy $129.99, basically hard drive to play Halo co-op online, which makes the slim model plus that hard drive puts it over the 250 gigabyte model. So all those players who bought the new one, the cheaper one, are kind of got screwed over there.
I'd agree with that.
So
that sucks.
But the other one is apparently there's a pretty big complaint going on Bungie's forum right now that a lot of the discs aren't working for Halo, that it won't read the disc. It shows as a DVD, and some people who get into the game can't get past the first cutscene. And the problem is on the older consoles. If you have a new Xbox, if you got the slim model, you're fine apparently. But if you have one of the ones from the like 2006 or about 2007, a lot of people are saying it won't work. And
they probably just counted on all those being returned already.
Or Red Ring.
That's what I'm saying. They returned
supposedly Microsoft is putting a patch out very shortly that will fix that issue. So
that's good.
That's good that they're turning around, but it kind of sucks to all those people who went out there and bought it and kind of have to wait to play. But
and for me, my love-hate, I love so much about it. I love the multiplayer. You know, I've been playing it for a week straight. You know, the campaign's over really quickly. I would not buy this game just for the campaign. It's like 8 hours long. There is some incentive to play it again on the higher difficulties and with friends. But I wouldn't spend $60 just for the campaign in this game. So I love the multiplayer. It's awesome. It's a complete change of pace from all these very realistic military shooters. It definitely took me a while to adjust, as I mentioned earlier. But it is just a blast, man. Last night I was playing it with people here from GT, and we laughed and just had way more fun than we've had playing games together in a really long time. So I really enjoy the multiplayer. I think crazy stuff happens in that game. It's not like Modern Warfare where either you get the headshot or you don't. It's like it's just madness when you're fighting against other human beings. You never know what's going to happen, you know. I think if there's one thing that I hate, I hate that the series is over and it's being handed over to somebody else. You know, we talked about this earlier too. It's you know, there's a big wild card there as to whether the series is going to maintain the level of quality that it has. It was going to keep the spirit. So I hate that Bungie's not making the game anymore. I wish there was some way that Bungie could have worked it out so they kept making the game and just made it across all the platforms. Obviously that's not going to happen with Microsoft owning the IP. So if there's one thing I hate about it, I hate that it's Bungie's last Halo game. All right, folks, that's going to do it for episode 125 here on GameTrailers.com. Invisible Walls up in your grill. Tokyo Game Show is going full force right now. Make sure you head on over to our page. I know for a fact our guys will not sleep. So no matter where you guys live, I don't care if you're in Europe, in Serbia, I don't care where you live, there's going to be new content going up on our Tokyo Game Show page around the frickin' clock. And it'll be going through the weekend, and then when they all get back next week, there will be, you know, mostly our interviews and stuff like that we hold until we get back because we're really time intensive. So make sure you check out our Tokyo Game Show page. We really appreciate your support on that stuff. I think we did okay. Hopefully the audio works out all right. I mean, we basically literally patched together
with duct tape
this arcane system of cables and decks and mics. Hopefully it turns out okay. If it doesn't, we apologize. We did the best we could. We wanted to make sure we got a show out to you guys during Tokyo Game Show with all the big news things. So hope everyone has an awesome weekend. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Invisible Walls is up and out.